Welcome back to another episode of The Outside Looking In. Once again, I'm here with my co-host Dre, and we're going to talk about the divisional round and then the conference championships. And we can start off with the Eagles versus the Giants because that was a blowout. A very, very easy game for the Eagles. Looked like that bye week paid off. They came out, looked fresh, and that's all I got. It was just a blowout. The game was, it just wasn't a game. Division rival. I think they beat them 3 times this year, if I'm correct.
Yep.
And I know it's every time this happens, it's always a stat. Like it's hard to beat a team 3 times, but I think it's over 80% of the time. If a team plays a team 3 times that they beat them twice, they win a 3rd time. Happened with the Saints when they played the Panthers, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago in the playoffs. Same thing happened with the Giants. So that was just an easy game for the Eagles. You can go ahead.
Yeah, so let's be honest. Granted, yeah, it's a divisional round game, or it's a division game in the divisional round. And yeah, we know each other, we know each other's tendencies and stuff like that. But that game actually has gone just like every other game against the Giants have gone all season long. Giants haven't beaten us in Philly in 10 years. So that wasn't in their favor. But also each game was pretty much out of reach, for the majority of the game. Like I know the last game of the season, the final score was kind of close, but we were up, I think it was like 19-0, at one point in that game. So it's like, we were never really worried. Granted, yeah, the Giants played well against the Vikings, but the Vikings, as we all know, they've been a fraud all year long. If you can contain Justin Jefferson or if Kirk Cousins is turning over the ball, then you could beat that team. So we went in there, but we did what we were supposed to do. We went in there, we blew them out. We didn't keep it close. We didn't, give people like pause or cause to be concerned or anything. Second play of the game, Jalen goes out there and he throws the deep pass to Devontae, showing off his shoulder to everybody. He was running, taking hits and everything. We're back. We're getting some healthy players back. Lane Johnson survived the entire game, which is great. It's a huge thing. So, we did what we had to do. We came out of that game with no injuries, anything like that. And so now we move on to the next week and, we'll get to it eventually, but we're moving on to the real NFC playoffs now.
In another blowout, we got the Bengals versus the Bills. This one definitely shocked me, probably shocked everybody that Buffalo just looked like they didn't come to play in this game. Just a very, very bad game in their part. And my biggest thing with Buffalo is I think they built their team to be a dome team. That's their biggest issue. They're fast. They're quick. You got a scrambling quarterback. You don't really have a running game. But yet you play in the snow. They built like they were playing in Detroit or New Orleans or Atlanta or somewhere. So they're going to have to get a running back. They're going to have to be able to run the ball in the playoffs and not just with the quarterback, Singletary and James Cook. They're good running backs. And near my home, they're good running backs, but they all do the same thing. None of them can just pound it. Then you got the Bengals. Joe Mixon got 105 rushing yards. You're going to need to be able to run the ball in the playoffs, and they just wasn't able to do it, and the Bengals just ran away with that one.
Yeah, the biggest thing with the Bills, injuries started coming up, or I don't want to say coming up, injuries started basically taking effect. But the biggest injury, Von Miller. Since when Von Miller was there, they had one of the best pass rushes in the league in terms of like pass rush rate, in a sense. And then since Von Miller got hurt, they were towards the bottom of the league. Like he was that important to their pass rush. And in that game, you're going up against the Bengals who just lost an offensive lineman the weak offensive line, and they just couldn't get Burrow off his feet. I think they only had 1 sack that whole game. But they really just couldn't make it, make Burrow have to work for it, make it uneasy. So the pass rush didn't show up. The secondary doesn't show up in big key downs, big key stops. The Bills are always making questionable calls. Like, to me, I'm like, it's a snow game. You should be better prepared for this in Cincinnati. But also it's like, you also know that you don't have the same type of footing. So why are you trying to play this deep passing game, all game long. Like if it's third and 4, 3rd and 6, whatever, just pick up the first down. Just do what you got to do to wear that defense down, pick it up, and those deep shots will come later on. But you don't have to try and force it every single time. And that's how the game ended up getting away from them. And because the Bills won, now we got to hear Eli Apple for a whole another week going off and thinking that he's a top flight corner now. So it's just been a mess right now. But the Bills, they got some work that they got to do in the offseason. They need to. I agree with you. They need James Cook. We could chalk it up to it being his rookie year and stuff like that. They've kind of been out on Singletary. Like he comes and goes with how they like him and things like that. And then they traded for, Hines in the middle of the season. But I still think they need another back. And then on defense, they've got to work on that pass rush. But I know we'll get into the offseason stuff later, but I know they've got some contract questions that they've got to work out this offseason. So this might be a completely different team. Just like another team I'm about to talk about, this was the year for them to win it with the team that they had.
Then the next game, we can go with the Chiefs, Jaguars. Close game by the scoreboard, but I think the Chiefs had this one in the bag basically the entire time. Biggest thing that happened in this game was Mahomes being injured, high ankle sprain. Obviously, he's going to play in the conference championship. They'll shoot that ankle up, tape that ankle up. They'll do whatever they have to do. They'll buy him a new ankle. It is what it is. He's going to play in that game. That was the biggest news out there. That was a good experience for the Jaguars. They came in. They didn't play great. They didn't play awful. Just a solid game from them. The Chiefs are just a better team. They've been here before. You can just almost write in the Chiefs into the AFC Championship as long as Mahomes and Andy Reid are there at this point. So Chiefs won this game very easily. Jags couldn't stop Travis Kelce. I mean, I don't think anybody can stop Travis Kelce at this point anyway. So solid game from the Chiefs right there.
Yeah, I agree. Shout out to the Jaguars. Kudos to them. This season went even better than expected. And to be honest, that game was a pretty competitive game.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people are probably going to come down on Trevor Lawrence. But really the interception that he threw, it was later in the game. He's trying to get his team back in. So I'm not going to really fault him for it. Yeah, the pass was a little underthrown, but he's just trying to make a fault him for that. If it wasn't for the fumble by Agnew, who knows, what could have happened. They were keeping it close. They were keeping the pressure on the Chiefs. But also you got to give a shout out to the Chiefs and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in the sense where it's like, there are a lot of people when they sprain their ankle, they're done like that. And granted, Mahomes' mobility wasn't the same, but Andy Reid right there on the spot, being the offensive guru that he is, he switched up his game plan. Pacheco had a big game. So, shout out to them for doing what they needed to do. And, we'll see what happens in the next round with Mahomes' ankle. But, both playoffs, they're set with who we all think would be there with the way the season's going.
Then you got the last game, the Cowboys versus the 49ers, which is a very defensive football game, which you expected. Two of the probably top 5 defenses in the league going up against each other. And this game was all about Dak Prescott being Dak Prescott, in my opinion. Got paid a lot of money, didn't perform well. The defense stepped up. Even Meyer, even though he got an extra point blocked, he made some field goals. So, I mean, it really came down to they turned the ball over. The 49ers really did. I mean, they pretty much shut out Christian McCaffrey for the most part. CeeDee Lamb had a solid game, but they just couldn't get it done. And honestly, I don't think anyone expected the Cowboys to get it done. 49ers just been too hot. It wasn't going to be the Cowboys that knocked them off. Purdy didn't play the greatest, but when you have that team, those weapons, that defense, you just don't have to turn it over and just do your job as a quarterback. So, solid game from the 49ers. They got the dub. Going to be much tougher against the Eagles, I would assume. But they're hot right now.
Yeah, the 49ers are hot right now. Before I talk about the 49ers, Cowboys fans, man, just another year. So what are we now at 27 years since the NFC Championship, since the Super Bowl and all that kind of stuff?
I think 28.
Might be 28 now.
No, I'm just counting next year, that's all.
Up. And then the thing is, it's like just like the Bills, this was the year. If you were going to get it done, this was the year to get it done. Tony Pollard's up for a contract. Zeke is either going to have to get cut or take a pay cut because he's making crazy amounts of money and he's not even starting running back anymore. CeeDee Lamb, I'm not going to lie. CeeDee Lamb, he did productive this year, but now you're seeing why someone like Philly, even though we drafted Devontae Smith, we went out and got an AJ Brown. Like you have two weapons, two receivers. So imagine if you had Amari and CD out there. So that was a move that came back to bite them in the butt. Dak throwing interceptions, and it's like crazy. That first interception, that was a late throw. Like Gallup didn't run the best route, but you could obviously see that the corner was there. Like he ran the route better than Gallup. There was no reason to throw that ball. The ball that he threw to CD that Fred Warner ended up intercepting, that was just, you could say it was late, but it was also just a bad decision. Like, I wouldn't have, me personally, granted, I'm not an NFL quarterback, but just hindsight being 2020, I don't think I would have made that throw. Also, you're in the red zone, like just throw it away, live to play another down, live to kick the field goal. And if it wasn't for those two interceptions, they would have won because the 49ers scored off of their interceptions or scored off their turnovers. So, Dak's taking a lot of heat, and he should, because the defense did what they were supposed to do. They held a red hot 49ers offense to, we say 19 points, but technically they only scored one touchdown on that defense and only had one long drive is basically what I'm saying. So the defense did their thing. Trayvon Diggs he kind of messed up a little bit. I don't know what that tackle attempt was on Kittle, but hey, Cowboy fans, y'all should be used to it by now, so it's just another year. Now we got to go through this whole off season, and we'll get to that when we get to the off season. But 49ers, y'all did a good job. Now it's coming to Philly, and we'll see what happens.
Speaking of that game, 49ers Philly, this may be the best two defenses in football. At least they're definitely the best two left in football. 49ers offense comes and goes depending on if Purdy's going to be Peyton Manning or Brock Purdy. Depends on, the day for that. They have the weapons, but Eagles have the defense. It's going to be a good one. I don't know. I actually don't know who's going to win this game. The spread is 2.5 Philly.
You know me, I'm going with Philly. Like, absolutely no way I'm picking anybody else over Philly. So San Francisco coming to the link in the playoffs. That place is gonna be loud. And to go ahead and beat you, we're already the top ticket prices. So boom, caught up to you on this week. So we're actually breaking the record on that right now. So everybody already knows that game is gonna be crazy. And, hey, the Cowboys defense, I'm not going to say they gave Brock Purdy trouble, because he didn't turn the ball over, but he didn't have like a crazy stat game or anything like that. But our pass rush is better than the Cowboys pass rush. Our pass rush is the best in the league. Trent Williams did an amazing job on Micah. He did an amazing job in that game, but you've got 4 other offensive linemen that have got to account for all of our other pass rushers. So if we can get Purdy, off his game, he's not at home. He's going to have to deal with the crazy crowd that is going to be there. It's going to be wild. For us, we just gotta do what we do. Don't turn the ball over. Account for Bosa and Warner at all times. And I think we'll be okay. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any measure, but I think we'll win. I'm going to say 21-17 Philly, and then we're on our way to Arizona.
I can see that being a score. Definitely going to be a low-scoring game.
But I do think it's going to be a big A.J. Brown game. He's that DK type, and DK had a huge game against him.
I can see it. Their only weakness is a receiver that's going to have to kill him. They're going to be solid against the run, but that secondary sometimes struggle. And then I think the matchup that everybody's going to be looking forward to, just because it's quarterback heaven. You got Mahomes versus Joe Burrow, Bengals versus Chiefs. The Bengals are actually favored in that game. Maybe it's because Mahomes is injured. I just got a notification that said he will practice today, but we already talked about that. We know he's going to play. Right. So you got Bengals versus the Chiefs. And I have a bold prediction here. Well, not even a bold prediction. I just have a statement to say. I think if the Bengals beat the Chiefs in this game, then it's time to just say Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the NFL. That's what I'm going with. That's my prediction. He's already 4-0 against Mahomes, as it is. Mahomes has never beaten him. He owns him at this point in his life. And you go to back-to-back Super Bowls. Hey, in your third season in the NFL, it's going to be very, very hard for me to put any quarterback over him, especially if you're 5-0 against the guy that's probably number 1 right now. I think that's a very, very good case. But in all honesty, if you do that, you would have to win it for me to actually put you over Mahomes because you need a little hardware. You can't just go and lose. But if he can win 2 more, I think it's not even it's a conversation because Mahomes is still Mahomes. But I do think he will take the baton and be in first place as the quarterback leaderboard. But I think it's going to be a good game. If you can stop Kelsey, you can control that offense. If you can't stop Kelsey, it's probably going to be a long day. Personally, I'm putting pressure on Mahomes. I'm going to see if that ankle is going to hold up. We're sitting at 5, we're sitting at 6, we're sitting at 7. It's going to leave you one-on-1, and you got Eli Apple, and you might not want to do that. But, I mean, you just got to live with the results. It's going to be cold. Try to get pressure on him. Trey Hendrickson, a good pass rusher for him. So we'll see what happens. I do think the Bengals are going to win this. I think it's going to be a 7-point game. I don't think they're going to be able to guard Jamar Chase. I think he has a big game.
Okay. I agree with you that if Burrow wins, there will be conversations about who the number 1 quarterback will be, which kind of sucks because Mahomes technically hasn't played bad in any of those matchups. Granted, they had the huge, playoff collapse last year. Mahomes played well. I think each game has been decided by 3 points, maybe 4 points, like 3 or 4 points. So it's not like either team has blown anyone out. It's pretty much who's got the last possession for the majority of it. If Andy Reid can lean on the run game, maybe, sprinkle in the screen game, because we all know how much Andy Reid loves to throw, and try and take some of that pressure off of Mahomes, that could help out. And then really the X factor in this game is going to be the Chiefs defense. They're going to have to step up. Joe Burrow is going to test that secondary for the Chiefs. So he's going to test them. He's going to go after Jamar, or he's going to target Jamar. So whoever's covering him, you're going to have to be prepared. Chris Jones, you're going to have to test the offensive line and put pressure on Burrow, like get him off his spot. And that's just the way it's going to have to be. So the stars are going to have to show up in this game for both teams. But since you're going to Bengals, I'm going to go with the Chiefs. But I agree with you. I'm going with the, instead of a 7-point game, I'm going to say it's going to be a 3-point game, but I'm going to go Chiefs.
It's not a bad pick, but so you got Eagles, Chiefs.
And
I got 49ers, Bengals. That's what I'm going with. I mean, the 49ers, Bengals they're the hottest teams in the NFL. I think they're both on like 8-9 game win streaks or something like that. They're both just hot. I know the Bengals, they lost their first 2 games of the season, and they've been hot ever since. So, well, got 2 interesting matchups, 2 different games. We'll see what happens. But before we get out of here, we got to talk about the NFL honors, and those came out, and we can just start with most valuable player because I'm just going to go down the list. You got Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Justin Jefferson, Pat Mahomes. Who do you think is going to win that award?
I would love to give it to Jalen Hurts just because even when he was hurt, like that proved to you that he is literally the most valuable player. Like everybody try to call him a system quarterback. We put Gardner mentioned we lost both games. We just won 1 game in our last 3. But we lost both games. He turned the ball over. The offense didn't look the same in certain spots and stuff. And then Jalen comes back and boom, we're clicking on all cylinders again. Everything's going right back. So in terms of most valuable player, it's Jalen. But I'm pretty sure they're going to give the award to Mahomes just because he threw for over 5,000 yards and all the touchdowns. Like he has the stats. So I'm pretty sure they're going to give it to Mahomes. But it should go to Jalen.
It's just Mahomes' award. It just is what it is. I think if Joe Burrow didn't start off so slow, he probably could have had a chance to get it. If Hurts didn't get hurt, he had a chance to get it. But they're giving that to Pat Mahomes. It's already set in stone at this point. Defensive player of the year. You got Nick Bosa, Chris Jones, a defensive tackle, which is rare unless it's Aaron Donald, and then Michael Parsons. I think Parsons will win this award, but I'm also not sure because Bosa is the best player on the best defense. He's the best player on the best defense. So I could see him giving, Bosa that award. But Michael Parsons, they're trying to, make him the next big thing. So I won't be shocked if they give him that award. But I think Bosa's gonna win it. But it just wouldn't shock me if they gave it to Michael Parsons.
Yeah, I think Bosa's gonna win it. I think what really hurt Micah, even though Bosa had more sacks, but I think what hurts Micah is that the second half of the year he was very inconsistent. Like he wasn't rushing the passer at the same rate as in the beginning of the year. Bosa's been consistent all year long. He's got the flashy plays, so I think it's gonna be Bosa.
And offensive player of the year, the award I hate the most in the NFL, I swear to God, is Offensive Player of the Year, because you got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Hurts, Justin Jefferson, Pat Mahomes. Now, Justin Jefferson's going to win this award. I'll tell you that right now. But this is why I hate this award, because Justin Jefferson's going to beat Patrick Mahomes for Offensive Player of the Year, but not going to beat him for MVP. That's why this award's stupid. They should just get rid of this award. Or like, say if Jalen Hurts wins it, because it's Tyreek Hill, Jalen Hurts, Justin Jefferson, Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes isn't going to win this award if he's going to win MVP. So why even put him in here? Like, I just don't get this award.
Exactly.
Justin Jefferson's going to win it. So that's just I don't care about this award at all.
The way that I would redo this award, I would say, because we all know we're at the day and age that pretty much only a quarterback is going to win MVP. Mm-hmm. Like for a non-quarterback to win an MVP, a running back would have to run for like 2,200 yards. A receiver would have to go for over 2,000 yards. Like they'd have to have like crazy historical seasons to win MVP, plus have the wins behind it. So it's just much easier for a quarterback to win it. So I would just say, don't even put quarterbacks in Offensive Player of the Year. Just leave that to the skill positions, running back, tight end, wide receiver, stuff like that. I think Jalen should win it. But I agree with you. Justin Jefferson's going to win this award just because he was so close to breaking Calvin Johnson's record. He's been on fire all season long. Tyreek, he's kind of the same thing as Micah. He probably would have won it. He was on pace to doing everything that Justin Jefferson did. But he kind of tailed off in the end of the year with all the quarterback changes. He got hurt a little bit. So it's Justin Jefferson's award to lose.
Then we got Offensive Rookie of the Year, the award that made me the maddest, because you got Garrett Wilson, perfectly fine. Kenneth Walker, the third, perfectly fine. And Brock Purdy. What are we doing here? What are we doing? This dude played 8 games. He threw for 1,300 yards in 8 games. 1,300 yards should not put you in any category at all. You should be looking for a new job. That's what you should be doing. But I get it. The hype around the quarterbacks, they had to throw him in there. He's still in the playoffs. I know it's a regular season award, but he's still in the playoffs, so they threw him in there. This definitely should be Chris Olave's as the third guy, in my opinion. I think Garrett Wilson's going to win it.
I agree.
Garrett Wilson's going to win it, but Chris Olave definitely deserved that third spot. I really think he's the second behind Garrett Wilson, but it is what it is. Garrett Wilson's going to win that award.
I agree with you with everything that you just said. Purdy, great. It's not his fault that he was, thrust into the starting lineup after an injury and everything. And he's played well ever since he's been the starter. I really think he got on this award after beating Tom Brady. This is like, oh, you beat Tom Brady as a rookie quarterback and you blew out his team. Yeah, we're going to put you on this list. But he didn't play all season long. There are other offensive rookies that played all season long, had great seasons. And that's why I don't like these award lists coming out like midway through the playoffs. Like if you want to and not like an entire NFL season award. But Purdy shouldn't be on this list. I agree with you. It should be Olave, but Garrett Wilson will win it.
And then we got Defensive Rookie of the Year. You got Sauce Gardner, Aiden Hutchinson, and Tyreek Woolen. I think Woolen's a huge surprise because he had a really, really good season for Seattle. Was leading the league in picks at one point. Aiden Hutchinson, he had a really good year. I mean, top pick in the draft, so that doesn't shock you. Then Sauce Gardner, another top pick in the draft. He's going to win this award, in my opinion. He just had a really, really good year. Jets defense was a top 5, top 10 defense in the league. The offense just stunk. So, I mean, congrats to the Jets. They're going to get both Rookie of the Years, in my opinion. And I'm sure that's never been done before because you usually don't have too high picks like that. So, I mean, the Jets hit the hammer on the nail with this one in the draft. They're going to get 2 Rookie of the Years, but they still suck. So, it's cool because they don't got a quarterback.
I'm going to just be a little different here. Sauce Gardner had a great year, but he holds a little too much and gets away with it for me. So I'm not giving him this award just for that. So I'm going to give it to had a great year as well. But I just think with Hutchinson, you're just looking at it, in the sense like he's going to a franchise where it's like we haven't had any type of, positivity in a while. He goes in, he's a star on that defense. They're playing for, a chance to be in the playoffs in the last game of the year. And he did it all. He sacked the quarterback, forced fumbles, recovered fumbles, got an interception. So, he was all over the defense. So granted, I agree. Sauce Gardner, I think, will probably win, but I'm gonna put my vote on Hutchinson.
We got Comeback Player of the Year. You got CMC. Don't know why he's in here. I know he's always hurt, but let's relax. You got Saquon Barkley from the Giants. You got Geno Smith from the Seahawks. I think this is Geno Smith's award. Led them to the playoffs. They were supposed to be tanking this season. Traded Russell Wilson to the Broncos. Basically, he was out the league. He was out the league for the most part. CMC, good year for the 49ers. But I think Geno Smith's going to win comeback player of the year. He deserves. He was basically out the league. Barkley just was hurt. So I could understand if he got it, but I think this is Geno Smith's award.
I agree with you. This is Geno's award because kind of for the same reasons as we've talked about some of the other awards. CMC really shouldn't be on this list. He joined the 49ers late and he had a great year with the 49ers, but you can't discredit what he also did with the Panthers earlier. But it's just a mere fact that like he misses so many games. They're like, oh, he actually played this season, so we'll throw him on there. So he's kind of getting that Brock Purdy effect in the sense where we're just going to throw him on there. And then Barkley's kind of like Micah in the sense where it's like he had a great year, but he kind of got a little inconsistent at certain times throughout the year. It wasn't like, consecutive or consistent throughout the entire year. So Geno Smith, he's a quarterback. He went to the Seahawks following Russell Wilson. Great year, led his team to the playoffs. It's Geno's award.
I guess we go assistant coach of the year. You got Ben Johnson from the Lions, that offensive coordinator. That offense was crazy. I'm not gonna butcher y'all's offensive coordinator last name, so we're just gonna go say Shane. Shane
Steichen.
Steichen, okay. And then you got Steichen. Why the hell? You know what? I don't even want to know. And then DeMeco Ryans, defensive coordinator from the 49ers. I think DeMeco Ryans is going to win this award. 49ers best defense in NFL. And I know they say playoffs doesn't count, but people are going to take playoffs into consideration because that's what people do, even though they say they never will. So I do think DeMeco Ryans will win this award. But I do like Ben Johnson. That's good for him that he got in here. The Lions offense was fantastic this year. That defense was just awful. But I think DeMeco Ryans is going to win that award. And I want him to win that award just so he can get a better job opportunity, even though he's probably going to end up on the Texans and get fired in 2 years. But different story for a different day.
Shane Steichen is winning this award. I don't care what anybody says. DeMeco Ryans, love him to death. He was a great, linebacker for Philadelphia Eagles. But the 49ers defense has been great for the past 3 years. Like, let's not kid ourselves on that. When it comes to the Lions, hey, you had a great year. The offense was great. I think a top 5 offense actually for the majority of the year of the team. That last year, everybody thought our quarterback was just a running back playing quarterback. Like, now, granted, I understand that Shane Steichen alone is not the reason that Jalen Hurts is playing better, but because he's the offensive coordinator, he's going to get the credit for it. So he calls the plays. He puts Jalen in those situations that had somebody in the MVP race. 49ers didn't, and the Lions didn't. So Shane Steichen, this is your award. If you don't win it, I'm calling the NFL rigged, but this is 100% your award. And I'm sad to say that we're also probably going to lose you after the season because you're probably going to be somebody's head coach, but so is most likely DeMeco Ryans. So yeah, Shane Steichen's going to win this award.
And then last but not least, the coach of the year. I think this is actually the toughest award right here. Coach of the year, you got I'll start with Sean McDermott because I don't think he's going to win it for the Bills, even though he had a really, really good year. Then anyone else on this list, you can make a case for Brian DeBall, took over the Giants, who was supposed to tank this year, top 5 pick, got them into the playoffs, changed Daniel Jones around and Barkley. Doug Peterson, another team, the Jaguars, that were awful last season, had a top pick in the draft. They made the playoffs. Then you got Kyle Shanahan. They had a good team, but, you lost 2 quarterbacks. You lost Trey Lance. You lost Jimmy G. Still the hottest team in the league right now. You can make a case for him. Nick Sirianni, obviously Eagles, number 1 seed. They've been the best team in football all year. You can make a case for him. So, honestly, this one's up in the air. If I had to pick somebody, I would probably pick Brian DeBall, unfortunately, just because I think he came in with the least expectations out of all of these teams and made the most out of nothing because they didn't have receivers. They just basically just played good, sound football. So I don't think he's going to win it.
I think this is a hard.
Go ahead.
Oh, I think this is a hard award to pick. I don't think Sean McDermott, I don't think he's going to win it just because the Bills have been doing what the Bills have been doing. like it's kind of an average, kind of same. Doug Peterson turned the Jaguars around from the Urban Meyer era, the 1 year Urban Meyer era, got them into the playoffs, got Trevor Lawrence looking like a number 1 pick all over again. Brian Daboll, like it's just the Giants to do what the Giants did. Nick Sirianni, come on. 14 wins, bro. Most character, everybody loves him. Everybody with Philly loves him. Everybody outside of Philly hates him just because
how Philly goes.
just because of his antics. But you know, the thing is, like, hey, the man has RFL. So, and then last but not least, you have Kyle Shanahan. It's kind of the same thing. Like the 49ers been doing what the 49ers do. It's just the mere fact that he did it with 3 different quarterbacks this year. So yeah, but I'm gonna give it to Nick Sirianni. Of course, he got 14 wins. No one else on this list got 14 wins in the regular season. So yeah, we're gonna give it to Nick Sirianni.
All right, that'll wrap up this episode of The Outside Looking In. We'll be back next week after the Bengals beat the Chiefs and the 49ers beat the Eagles.
Wow. Fly, Eagles, fly. Let's go, baby.
We out.
So one last time, let's make it the greatest